Welcome back. So, in the lecture series of industrial automation and robotics, today we see there are some laws of robotics on which the robot works, and there are some robot components which are important to understand. What are these components and what are the functioning of these components? We will understand in detail. So, first we have to see that what are the laws of robotics. So there are three main laws of the robotics which were defined by Isaac Asimov in the year of 1940s. There are three laws. The first law is a robot may not injure a human being or through action allow a human being to come to harm. See, the first law is basically when the robot is working its own environment, he can take the decision also, or if it is programmed. So what happening is, suppose a person is coming with the interface of the robot, and the robot is working, it will not injure to any person, right? So for example, if we consider a robot, we always take a picture in our mind that the robot is like a mankind, right? It can fight, the robot can use in war, right? So in such situations, a robot is not working. What happening? There is a first law that the robot may not injure a human being at any cost, at any condition where the robot will be used. The robot will not injure to any person. The second law is a robot must obey the orders given by human beings except when such orders would conflict with the first law. See, a robot is a machine, a program machine, which is designed for minimizing the effort of the person for the improvement in the industry. Like, you can increase the production, you can maximize the accuracy in the part, you can minimize the cost of the product by increasing the production, of course, right? So there are so many advantages of the robot where we can use the advantage. See, what happening, robot can also work at high temperature, or you can say the environment where a human being cannot work. So in that case, the robot must obey the orders given by the human beings, whether it is directly, you can say, with the voice controlled or with the help of programming. But this is true when the first law is not broken, or there is a no conflict with the first law. So first law is the robot may not injure a human being. The third law is a robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law. So this is the third part, also very important, that robot should protect its own existence. Suppose in any case, if there is any, you can say that if there is any case where the person is damaging a robot, okay, so robot should be capable to save themselves, but without conflicting the first or second law. It does not mean that he want to save his life and killing the person, right? It is not like that. So that it should not be break, the robot should not break the first or second law. The fourth law was later introduced by Fuller in the year of 1990. What was this law? A robot may take a human being's job, but it may not leave that person jobless. This was not the target of the robot, or you can say, when the industry, in any industry, they want to use the robots in their industry for the automation purpose, the main job of the robot is to minimize the effort, you can say, to increase the production, to decrease the cost of the product, right? And there are so many advantages, but the purpose of the robot employment in the industry is not that robots should not take the job of a person, right? So therefore, what to do in that case? That persons who are doing the similar kind of job, or you can say the repetitive job in the industry, so in that case what happening, that person can use to do some other kind of okay. Now in this slide we have to discuss the main components of the robots. In earlier case also we have discussed, but here we have to see that how these components are interconnected to each other. The first part is called as the manipulator. Manipulator means it is a like of a linkages. There are two kind of linkages. One is the closed link and second is open link. So as we know that a 4-bar mechanism is a closed link, whereas there is a open chain mechanism. So a manipulator is a open chain mechanism here, because the first link is fixed with the ground and the other link is free to move in the space. So this is the end effector, or you can say wrist of the robot, which is free to move in the space and move to the target point to do its job. The first part, which is called as its base, is connected with the shoulder. So shoulder is basically a type of a disc which can rotate on this base with the bearing surface and can rotate about 360 degree or less than 360 degree if the motion is constrained. So it can, maximum rotation can be 360 degree, right? So what happening in this case, we can use here the second axis, which is called as again a revolute joint. So therefore this link can rotate about the axis second, and the next is part of the manipulator is called as the knee or elbow, where this is also again kind of revolute joint, and this arm can rotate about this elbow in clockwise or anti-clockwise direction. Next next body is called as the arm, right? So the arm is the extended part of the manipulator, and which is connected with the wrist. So what happening, this arm is connected with the wrist, and it is also permitting the rotation at the axis 4. So this wrist can rotate in clockwise direction about this axis. It means the horizontal axis, if you can see here. And if we talk about the vertical axis or axis 5, you will find out this wrist can move in clockwise direction and anti-clockwise direction about its vertical axis. The last part where the motion can be required is known as, this is a you can say that it is again a rotation motion, or this is also a revolute joint, the axis 6, right? So about this axis, this wrist can you can say swing, or you can say it can rotate about this axis. So what happening, this is a completely 6 revolute joint, or it is called as 6R robot. So therefore we can take here that this whole mechanism, this is an open link mechanism. The first link is grounded or fixed, and the other links are movable in the space. So idea is basically we have to get the motion and increase the flexibility, or you can say increase the degree of freedom by using the maximum number of axes. So therefore you can find out here the precise motion of the robot. Now it is true that this robot, this is a structure, right? So without using any power, or you can say external source of power, we cannot provide the motion of the linkages. So for this we have to use a power unit which is connected with this you can say that the servo motors or motors of the joints and or of this manipulator. So therefore what happening, the power unit will provide the motion of the joints. So this is you can say it's a skeleton, and the next is the power units which is using to provide the power. Next is the control unit. Control unit will control the motion of the axis. Basically whatever you program, we have to just control the motion of the axis. Just like a CNC, you have to control the motion of the tool in the space, or you can control the parameters like a feed, speed, or any other parameter which can be controlled with the help of your CNC programming. The same thing is happening here also. We have to use a control unit, and control unit will control the motion of the axes, or you can say the motion of the joints. So these are, this is the complete more description also which is required, the subsystems of a robotic system. See, robot is a group of several subsystems, each with its own function. See, if we talk about a human being, your bones are just like a structure, it will provide a structure, right? Your muscles are used to provide the motion of the structure. If it is a simply structure, your body will not move. So the muscles which are functioning to provide the movement of your entire body in the space, you can walk, you can pick, you can place the object, right? You can rotate your shoulder, you can bend your knees, you can sit, you can walk, you can dance, right? So there are so many tasks which a human person is doing in their daily routine work, right? So let us try to understand that if suppose if any component which is missing, for example, if we are talking about the complete motion of a human person, structure, it means your bones, muscles will provide the motion, then your energy is also required, so we use some food for the energy, and there are also some sensors like your eyes, your nose, your ears. So these are your sensors which will work and give you the messages that yes, this how to do your work, right? So sensors basically see the physical environment, and then you can interact with the world. So this is basically the purpose of a human being. A human is just like a these kind of main important components. Similarly, with the help of a robotic system, there are subsystems also, like a first one is the mechanical system. It means a complete manipulator. So manipulator is basically our mechanical system by which the robot interact with the surrounding environment. It usually performs one particular task. It consists of actuators, joints, wrist, tool, etc. So these are basically the complete hardware of the robot, right? So there are some actuators, there are some joints, right? Rotational joints or prismatic joints. We will discuss later on in detail all these type of joint, what type of joints are used in the robots. But yes, there are some rotation and prismatic joints where we can provide the motion of the joints, or we can permit the degree of freedoms. So then next is the wrist. It means the end part of the manipulator, and at the end of the wrist where we use the gripper or tools. So these are basically the mechanical system of a robot. Next is the electrical system. So electrical system consisting of sensors, electrical, pneumatic, hydraulic actuators, computers, etc. So all these things are coming in the electrical system, because we have to provide the motion also, means we have to power each joint. So these power can be given with the help of electric motors, pneumatic systems, or hydraulic actuators with the presence of the computers. Next is the control system. This is also required. Suppose if we provide the motion, because your robot is a closed loop system, right? So in the case of open loop system, your system means when the output is not governed with the input. It means there is no correlation between the output and the input, or in the precise way you can say that there is no feedback system or no type of controlling system is associated with the help of open loop system. But what happening in the case of closed loop system, there is a feedback also, and this feedback will sense and given to the controller, and this controller will control the motion of the axis. So control system, this system receive high level orders and translates them into commands for actuators. See, actuator is basically, it's a like a, you can say a piston or cylinder type of arrangement, and if you can control the motion of the piston inside the cylinder, that how much it should move, then obviously you can control the movement of the manipulator. Similarly, in the case of your motor, stepper motor, okay, or servo motor, if you can control the rotation of the shaft of the motor, right, how much degree is required to move the link of the robot, that way you can control the things. So this is basically very important part of the robot system. Next is the sensor system. As I told you, like a human being, you have eyes, your nose, your ears, right? You can sense the things, what is going on in the environment, and accordingly you will get the message, and this message will move to the move to your brain, and your brain will command the entire body. So sensor system is very important part of the robot. It measures different physical magnitude so that the control system is able to perform and correct action. As I told you that the if there is no sensor or any feedback system, so what happening, controller will not do anything, right? Controller will just give the input whatever is required, right? So it will give a constant input, right? But it is not governed by the output, that it will not correlated with the output. So in the case of sensor system, sensor will sense the magnitude, physical magnitude of the environment. Or so as I told you that controller is the first part of the system. We have a ABB robotic center in our college, and you can see in the lab that this is the controller which is just behind the robot. You will find out I have just going through the detail of these things, these elements. So let us understand that what is the role of the controller. So controller is the brain of the industrial robotic arm and allows the parts of the robot to operate together. See what happening, as I know that there are number of linkages. So therefore, in that case, what happening, these linkages will move in the environment and having a coordinated motions. Coordinated motions means if you try to understand and visualize an open link mechanism, you will find out that if there are three linkages in the mechanism of the open chain, you will find out that the output link will move according to the previous link or the second link of the open chain link mechanism, and the second link will coordinate with the first link. So if you want to calculate the coordinate of the last link in the space, you should know the coordinate of the first link and then the second link, and then only you can find out the position of the third link or the last link in the space, right? So this is very important part. So the you can say the controller will control all the axes or all the joints of the robots, right, which are operating together. Next is it work as a computer and allows the robot to communicate to other system. The robotics arm control runs a set of instructions written in the code called a program. See, a program is a set of instructions, a type of a, you can say that it is just like a C program or any other type of program where you write, or you can say CNC program, where you write some statement in the form of codes, right? So what happening, you have to use some codes and then you use these codes to control the things. So controller will access this program, whatever written by the you can say operator or you can say programmer, right? These instructions should be followed by the controller and control the motion of the robot. So the program is inputted with the teach pendant. See what happening, suppose if we want to run the robot manually, we can use a teach pendant, and through teach pendant we can control the motion of the robot. Simultaneously, if you want to run the program which is already stored in the system, you can use this program and then run this program for the robot, and robot will work according to the. Okay, now this is a industrial robot arm of the ABB. See, industrial robot arm is the part that positions the end effector. See, ultimate role of this robot, this is the fixed part, or you can say it's a fixed body with the ground. The other links are movable. You can see here that, and this is a ABB IRB robot. At the end of this, you will find out a welding torch which is used. So this is a welding robot, and you will find out in that case we have to calculate the position of the end effector, and we have to coordinate or you can say control the position of the end effector in the space, so that you can work on the workpiece, and then you can weld the workpiece, right? So this is basically the arm, complete arm of the industry. So with the robot arm, the shoulder, elbow and wrist move and twist to the position of the end effector in the exact right spot. So whatever target point you decided, your robot should reach to the target point and do his work. So each of these joints gives the robot another degree of freedom. See what happening when you increase the number of joint, you will increase the flexibility of the mechanism. It means you have to increase the degree of freedom of the mechanism. Suppose if there is any two links, let us cut this robot from here. Okay, so I am using only two linkages. At here we have to just connect this wrist, right? So if you want to see, the flexibility of this robot is less as compared to other linkages, obviously. So therefore the degree of freedom is very important to understand, and then we have to see that what type of complexities associated when we decrease the degree of freedom, when we increase the degree of freedom, and what. Next is the part which is also very important, is known as end effector. End effector is basically, it is connected with the robot arms, and its function is just like a human arm, right? A person is picking some object in their daily routine life, right, and placing the object. Now this part comes in direct contact with the material that robot is manipulating. So this is the attachment. You can see the attachment of the robotic arm, where we can use different types of end effectors depending upon the work, okay, or depending upon the task. So some variations of end effector are the gripper, right? These are the gripper. You can see here that a vacuum pump, okay, this is a vacuum pump, and magnetic and welding torches. As you have already seen in the previous diagram, at the end of this wrist we are using a welding torch for the welding purpose. So these are basically kind of the end effectors which are designed and used for the. Next is drive. Drive is the engine or motor that moves the links into their designated position. See, as I told you that if there is no type of powered units, or you can say that which are used to provide the motion of the linkages, so motor are used to provide the motion, that's why it is called as an engine, right? So these motors will move the linkages in the space, and then only we can find out the fine position of the end effector in the space or at the target point. So industrial robot arms generally use one or the following types of drives, as I know that hydraulic, electric or pneumatic. Hydraulic drive system are basically used where the very heavy weight is required to pick, or where the power is required maximum, because it works with the hydraulic action. Whereas the pneumatic systems are work on the air. So we know that this is basically the system which are used for the smaller robots. Mostly we use the electrical system, right? So which are used to provide a robot with less speed and strength. So basically we can use the servo motors or stepper motors to govern the, or you can say to move the. Okay, these are the last main parts of the robot, is known as sensors. So sensors allow the industrial robotic arm to receive feedback about its environment. So whatever activities are going on in the environment, the responsibility of the sensors is to sense and provide the information to the controller, and the controller will control the motion of the robot in the space. So one use of these sensor is to keep the two robots that work closely together from bumping into each other. See what happening, sometimes what happening in the industrial robot, where the multiple robots are working simultaneously, they are doing their job, okay, or you can say in the case of collaborative robots. So collaborative robots means where the robot is working along with the human person, or a person who is working along with the robot, right? So what happening, the robot should not harm to the person. This is the, as you know, this is the first law of the robot. For that, the sensor will provide the information to the robot, and the controller will control the motion. If suppose if any person is coming inside the cell, or you can say that if the person is interacting with the robot will not harm the person, right? So vision sensors allow a pick and place robot to differentiate between items to choose and items to ignore. Now this is another very important thing, that when we are designing a pick and place robot, we should know that what elements the robot should pick and segregate from the petal, or what elements he has to pass on. So what happening in that case, the robot should take the decision. Okay, it should be programmed accordingly, and then it should sense. The sensor will sense the object. Means you can say that the the important thing is, uh, you can say that inspection, which is also a separate part, or you can say another job in the manufacturing unit. This inspection is also done simultaneously with the assistance of robots. So thank you very much.